Hi there, my name's Nick Shepley and I'm a drug and alcohol addictions counsellor at the Living Room, Cardiff.
Hi, I'm Saranne from Saranne Bowles Coaching. I help professional women who are looking to make a move into running their own online business.
Hello, Saranne. So, perhaps you could start by giving us a little rundown of what you do and what your areas of expertise are in personal change.
So I'm a coach and I work with professional women who are starting their own business for the first time. So they're stepping out of corporate employment and stepping into being their own boss and running a business. And most of the time I work with them because they're feeling quite freaked out by it.
Right.
So I call myself a mindset coach because really success in that area is mostly about mindset. It's about 20% knowledge and 80% mindset.
Sure. Okay. So, for the benefit of people who might not already know, what is coaching and how do coaches help people? How do they bring about change?
So a coach is really there to challenge you to step into your best self and to help you envisage the way you can change.
Sure.
So it creates the space that allows you to think more deeply about what you want and to explore your own thoughts.
Okay. So it's a little bit about helping people to see what change is possible and to become clear about what change they actually like.
Yeah, so one of the first things that I talk to new clients about is what they actually want. So for me, this is the first thing that is absolutely required if someone wants to make a change in their life. You have to know what you want, and I still find it surprising how many people think they know what they want, but they actually know what they don't want. So I can often spend 1 or 2 sessions, sometimes even more, trying to get someone round from focusing on what they don't want to actually focusing on what they do want and realising what that is.
Sure. What are the difficulties with that process? What are the difficulties in helping people to actually make that transition? What challenges are there?
So the biggest difficulty is that people are so unused to doing it. It is, as a society, I think we're very focused on what we don't want. So we talk about weight loss and giving up smoking, and all of that is focused on what you don't want. We don't tend to have the habit of focusing on what we do want. So it's a new thing for a lot of people to really think with that much rigour about what they do want. So they are clear about the type of business they want, you know, the hours they want to work, what this business would do for their family, but there's not enough leverage.
Yeah.
And what I mean is that all of the things that they want are good things, but they don't really want them.
Yeah.
And there's this piece where they haven't really admitted to themselves what it is that's not working for them about this vision they've got for the future.
Sure. So in our line of work, obviously we are helping people to recover from drug and alcohol and process addictions and these sorts of things. There seems to be a similarity in what you're saying there, in that a lot of times when people are addicted to, say, alcohol, they view or can view recovery as being deprived of the thing that they feel that they have enjoyed. That's causing massive havoc in their lives. And it's very similar to what you're saying there. One of the things that I wanted to ask today was, what do you think a person has to possess? What does a person need to access within themselves to bring about personal change, do you think?
I think you need clarity about what you want. You need leverage, which is like you need to have a reason, not just for yourself, but outside yourself, whatever that is for you, whether that's for your family or because you're doing something that you feel is a purpose in the world, you need that leverage to make the change. And then you need energy.
Yeah.
So there's something about change takes enormous energy because you're doing different things, you're thinking different thoughts, you're actually changing your beliefs about yourself and the world potentially.
Sure.
And there's a piece around the energy that's needed, which comes down to, as basic as it is, like looking after yourself while you're trying to get through change. And if that's missing, you can have all the other things. You can have clarity about what you want, you can have leverage, but if the energy is missing, then the change can run aground.
Yeah.
And you'll slide back.
Yeah.
So energy is really important. So sleep, exercise, food, like things we all know that we need to look after. Like the thing that helps most of us is environment. So looking at your environment and just manipulating it into supporting the change you want to make.
So I suppose a way of looking at it from the standpoint of, say, the living room here, manipulating the environment would be actually placing yourself in an environment where there are supportive people around you, for example, making the effort to come to and engage with places where there are positive people, where the values are about sobriety and recovery. That would be an example. And that energy, again, once as we suppose maintained, it becomes a lot easier to maintain it if you're not around negative energy draining people, and also if you're in an environment where things aren't, say, chaotic or harmful, and it's a safe environment. You probably expend a lot less energy in that way. What is so powerful about the way people believe about themselves, about others, about the world, in terms of bringing about change, or, unfortunately, in the other case, maintaining negative habits? Why are beliefs so important?
So if you don't believe that the change is possible for you, then you're right. Until you believe it's possible, you won't be able to make the change that you want in your life. So belief is really important the whole way through the journey. Not only because you have to believe it's possible, but because you will change your interpretation of the world. And actually, I would say it's a deeper level even than belief. That's where you get to permanent change. Change that sticks is where your identity, what you believe about yourself, has changed sufficiently that it becomes impossible for you to backslide.
Now, it's funny that we talk about, on one end of things like life coaching or mindset coaching, where you're helping people to make changes in their lives which are about finding new ways of working and living. But it's not so divorced from the work of helping people to make changes in terms of overcoming addiction, because there are similarities in helping people to transition from one state to another. And I would imagine, and perhaps you can clarify this, that when you're helping people to go from, say, a 9-to-5 job to setting up their own business, there are all sorts of emotional journeys that person has to take. Would that be right?
Yes. So there's a process of letting go of the old identity, and a lot of the ladies I work with would consider themselves high flyers. So there's sort of a status associated with that, and a feeling that they are recognised for what they do. So even though they don't really enjoy it anymore, it's very familiar and there's status associated with it, and it's quite a painful process for a lot of people to step away from that, and this sort of wobbly period in between where you haven't quite embedded the identity of being a business owner, of being an entrepreneur, and where you feel uncertain of who you are. So there's transitions. It's just lots of transitions.
Well, the same is true in working with people in addiction, because people that say drink or gamble, they often identify closely with the addictive behaviour. You know, I'm so and so, the drinker. You know, I'm the party guy. I go to the pub. I'm the life and soul of the party. That's normally never true. There's normally a terrible bore. However, when they suddenly realise that they can't carry on in this behaviour any longer, it's destroying them, and they work towards abstinence and then even achieve abstinence, there's a terrible sense of loss sometimes. That wobbly thing that you're describing, that sense of, well, what am I going to be then?
Who am I without whatever the addiction is?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so a lot of the things to do with addiction, a lot of things to do with kind of careerism, workaholism, all that, is about finding an external thing, an external validation, external behaviour, or an external substance that kind of is part of the process of kind of self-completion. It seems probably more manageable in the situation you're talking about, in the coaching situation, because people they've already come to the conclusion that their career in whatever it is more harm to them than it is a help. So you're helping them on the next logical stage of that journey.
The people I work with are already bought into that they want to change, that it's necessary for them to change, that it's a positive thing in their life. So I think I probably have it easier in some instances.
Sure.
Yeah.
There are clients at the living room who arrive saying, right, what do we do? Ready for change? I'm not sure, say hallelujah. And so there are people who often have massive motivation for change, and they very much are equipped at solving their own problems very quickly with a little bit of guidance and advice. But like you mentioned earlier, there are people, I think, in both fields where they haven't decided what they want, and they haven't also decided perhaps what the price is to pay for what they want. Do you sometimes find in coaching that, obviously, to set up your own business, there are significant prices to pay, not just monetary, but in terms of effort and commitment, that there are some people that they kind of get to the precipice and think, oh, I don't know if I can commit all that time and energy? Is that a thing you've heard? Or?
So I have had people who came to me because they wanted to set up a business and then pivoted through the coaching process, through exploring what they really wanted, so getting real clarity about what it is they wanted, that actually what they needed was a slightly different career but still working for someone else. So until you get that clarity, you're just chasing something quite vague. The idea of what running a business might be, because obviously running a business can be really hard work and quite thankless to start with. So you have to have stamina and real determination to do it. But yeah, people do sometimes back away from the change. Having said that, I think that's a good thing. I think getting clear about what it is you actually want is good. Now, it's different to addiction, obviously, because someone's health could be at risk and their life could be, severely impacted by an addiction. Most of the women that I'm dealing with, some of them really are struggling with workaholism, actually. But a lot of them have just got very stale in their jobs, and that's what's prompting this. So if they can get out of that rut and rediscover their enthusiasm and the thing that they loved about their career beforehand, then that's probably a big win for them, and an easier win than starting a business just because they've got a sense of ennui.
Sure, because it's a big number.
Yeah.
And finally, the thing I would ask is, what changes happen within you as the coach with a new client? Because obviously, you have to kind of invest in the client to some degree and become a little bit excited for them. Do you find yourself your feelings towards clients develop, change as you work with them?
So one of the things that I love about coaching is that you have to have unconditional positive regard, because most people have not really experienced that in their lives, and just having someone who is willing to be to really listen to what they have to say and to be open to all of their ideas and work with them on it is this really powerful experience. What I love about it is the energy it generates. And it generates energy for me too.
And when you go on someone's journey, there's a certain intimacy there, isn't there? When you are allowed to go into another person's journey. In the case of what you're talking about, very often the journey through their hopes and fears and ambitions, which perhaps they don't articulate to everybody. So there is something quite special about that connection, isn't there? And you mentioned listening. Many people, I think they listen, but it's quite an art form, isn't it? To really be open to what people are actually saying.
It is, and it's quite intimate, that conversation. I mean, I hear things that people's partners haven't heard about what they truly want out of their life. So although I focus on business, it's never just about business, because you can't coach one part of a person's life. A person is the whole person in front of you, and that's who you build the relationship with.
That's right. Well, Saranne, thank you very much. That was fabulous, and thanks so much for your time and your expertise.
Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.